I think Beyond the Gates is coming back in a big way during the week of July 6th through July 10th. After a full week of reruns, it finally feels like Fairmont Crest is ready to deliver some major emotional moments, relationship drama, and a few surprises that could change several storylines. The biggest storyline to me revolves around Naomi Hawthorne. She and Jacob finally get some quality time together as they try to reconnect after everything they've been through. On the surface, it looks like a romantic date night, but I don't think Naomi will be able to enjoy it for very long. The guilt she's been carrying seems ready to catch up with her. We already know Naomi has kept her positive BRCA gene test results a secret from everyone she loves, including Jacob. I was wondering how much longer she could realistically keep something this important hidden, and it looks like the answer is not much longer. She finally opens up to both Jacob and Danny Dupree, and I expect those conversations to be incredibly emotional. A revelation like this doesn't just affect Naomi, it impacts the entire family. There's also a strong possibility that Vernon and Anita Dupree learn the truth as well. The spoilers mention them receiving important news involving one of their grandchildren, and it would make perfect sense if Naomi's confession is exactly what they're referring to. Considering everything Anita is already facing with her own health, this family could be dealing with multiple emotional battles at the same time. Speaking of Anita, she's anxiously waiting for the results following her lumpectomy. Thankfully, she won't be facing that uncertainty alone. Vernon, Danny, and Nicole will all stand beside her, reminding everyone that even during the toughest moments, the Dupree family knows how to support one another. One detail that caught my attention is Danny's upcoming conversation with Ashley Morgan. Since Ashley was the only person Naomi trusted with her BRCA results before telling her family, Danny could have questions about everything surrounding Naomi's diagnosis. Then again, I may be wrong. There's also the possibility that the discussion shifts toward Andre Richardson. Ashley and Andre once shared a close bond, so the writers could easily revisit that history if they want to stir up another layer of drama. Meanwhile, romance may be headed for trouble elsewhere. Tomas Navarro is preparing to propose to Kat Richardson, but her response is described as surprising. That immediately makes me think this won't be a simple fairy tale engagement. Whether she says yes, no, or asks for more time, something tells me their relationship is about to hit a crossroads. Chelsea Hamilton also steps in with some advice for Kat. If Kat hesitates, Chelsea may encourage her to make a decision instead of leaving Tomas in limbo. Even if Chelsea supports the relationship, she may remind Kat that uncertainty can be just as painful as rejection. The tension doesn't end there. Kat makes an unexpected purchase that frustrates Tomas, which makes me think their disagreement goes beyond the proposal itself. Money, priorities, and future plans often reveal deeper issues in a relationship, so this could be another sign that they're not as aligned as they once believed. Over on the darker side of town, Joey Armstrong gives Randy Parker another assignment, but Randy doesn't seem comfortable with it. That alone raises some red flags. This mission apparently involves Deanna McBride, the daughter of Joey's childhood friend Doug McBride. I honestly don't believe Joey is acting out of kindness here. Every move he makes usually serves a hidden agenda, so I'm expecting there's much more behind this request than he's letting on. Vanessa McBride also brings Joey some news that puts him on edge, and later he informs her that their partnership is changing. Whenever Joey starts adjusting alliances, someone usually ends up paying the price, so I'll definitely be watching this storyline closely. Another family that finds itself under pressure is Martin Richardson and Bradley Smitty Smith. Samantha shows her dad something that immediately sends them into panic mode, especially when it comes to Tyrell Richardson. There are plenty of possibilities here. Maybe Jessica Harris has ended her relationship with Tyrell, or perhaps the situation is even more serious. I could be completely wrong, but the possibility of an unexpected pregnancy certainly feels like the kind of twist this show enjoys introducing. At the same time, Samantha and Tyrell's biological mother, June, receives a heartfelt gift that leaves her emotional. Moments like these often provide a welcome emotional balance amid all the heavier drama unfolding throughout the week. Eva Thomas also experiences a touching moment when Leslie Thomas surprises her with a meaningful gift. I really like seeing these softer scenes because they remind us that not every storyline has to revolve around conflict. Even characters surrounded by chaos deserve genuine moments of warmth. That said, Leslie wouldn't be Leslie without stirring things up somewhere else. She finally reaches an understanding with Darlene Hawthorne, and hopefully that means their constant clashes can settle down for a while. However, peace doesn't last long because Leslie soon finds herself battling Garland Memorial Hospital's new chief of staff, Dr. Monica McCormick. Monica reportedly wants to end the hospital's partnership with Leslie's free clinic, and I completely expect Leslie to fight back. This has the potential to become one of the show's biggest professional rivalries if neither woman is willing to compromise. Elsewhere, Eva and Isaiah Hawthorne renegotiate the terms of their arrangement. At first, this sounds like it could simply involve their living situation, but knowing soap operas, there's always the chance that something much bigger is hiding beneath the surface. As the week moves toward its conclusion, legal drama takes center stage. Dr. Madison Montgomery's deposition reportedly falls apart, creating problems for everyone involved. That certainly isn't good news for Madison, but it also puts Naomi and Bill Hamilton in a difficult position as they continue handling the case. I think this storyline could have long-term consequences that stretch well beyond this week. Finally, Grayson Perez receives a surprising offer. My first thought is that Ashley may finally accept his invitation to spend time together, but I wouldn't rule out the possibility that the offer is connected to his career at the hospital instead. Either option could open the door to an entirely new direction for his character. Overall, I think this week has a little bit of everything that makes Beyond the Gates so entertaining. Emotional family revelations, difficult medical decisions, relationship uncertainty, legal complications, power struggles, and hidden agendas all seem to collide at once. After the recent reruns, this feels like exactly the kind of dramatic return the series needed, and I have a feeling several of these storylines will continue shaping the show's biggest conflicts in the weeks ahead. I think Monday's episode of Beyond the Gates is shaping up to deliver several major moments in Fairmont Crest, especially when it comes to Kat, Tomas, Eva, and Randy. The biggest surprise to me is what happens between Catherine, Kat Richardson, and Tomas Navarro. From everything we've seen, Tomas is ready to take a huge step by proposing to Kat. I was honestly expecting this moment to be emotional, but it also looks like it catches Kat completely off guard. What makes this even more interesting is that the spoilers suggest they'll both end up shocking each other. Tomas clearly believes he's creating the perfect proposal, so if Kat doesn't immediately say yes, that could be a heartbreaking twist. Maybe I'm wrong, but even if she simply asks for more time to think about it instead of rejecting him outright, that hesitation could be enough to leave Tomas stunned after everything he's put into making this moment special. Meanwhile, Eva Thomas receives a heartfelt gift from her mother, Leslie Thomas. Considering everything Eva has gone through recently, this scene could be one of the most emotional parts of the episode. Eva has been fighting for her life and is finally on the road to recovery, so it makes sense that Leslie would want to give her something meaningful. I didn't realize how much their relationship might be changing until now, and I'm curious whether this gift carries sentimental value or represents a fresh start for both of them. Then there's Randy Parker, whose storyline seems to be taking an intriguing turn. Joey Armstrong reportedly gives Randy a brand new assignment, but it's one that makes him uncomfortable. To me, all signs point toward Joey wanting Randy to reconnect with Deanna McBride. That raises a lot of questions. Randy and Doug McBride have a long history as childhood friends, so why is Joey suddenly pushing Randy toward Deanna? I can't help but wonder if Joey has a larger plan in motion that hasn't been revealed yet. It feels like there's more happening beneath the surface than anyone realizes. At the same time, Vanessa McBride has news to share with Joey. I'm not completely sure what it's about, but it could involve Deanna, their business dealings, or something that changes Joey's plans entirely. Whatever it is, it sounds like another piece of a much bigger puzzle. Overall, I think this episode balances romance, family emotion, and mystery really well. Tomas and Kat's proposal drama has the potential to be the emotional centerpiece. Eva's touching moment with Leslie could provide some much-needed warmth, and Randy's new assignment may quietly set up one of the next major storylines. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but this definitely feels like an episode that could have lasting consequences for several characters. After a week of rebroadcasts, Beyond the Gates is finally back, with brand new episodes airing from July 6th through July 10th, 2026. And I think this week has the potential to push several major storylines forward. There are emotional family moments, relationship drama, unexpected twists, and what looks like a possible marriage proposal. One of the biggest emotional stories continues to be Eva's recovery after receiving part of Kat's liver. I was wondering what direction the show would take next, and it looks like Leslie is about to give Eva a heartfelt gift. To me, that feels like an important step in rebuilding their complicated relationship, although I'm curious whether this gesture will truly heal old wounds or simply open the door to new emotional conversations. Kat and Tomas also seem to be heading toward a turning point. They apparently leave each other equally stunned early in the week, which immediately made me wonder if they're finally getting on the same page about their future. Then, just a few days later, Kat makes an impulse purchase that doesn't sit well with Tomas, suggesting they may still have some serious differences to work through. The biggest surprise comes from a promotional photo that appears to show Tomas proposing to Kat. I may be right or wrong, but it certainly looks like a marriage proposal is coming. If that's the case, I'm curious whether Kat's unexpected purchase somehow connects to her decision. Will she accept his proposal, or will recent events make her hesitate? Either outcome could dramatically change the direction of their relationship. Meanwhile, Anita's health journey remains front and center. Although she's made it through the toughest part of her battle with breast cancer, she's still waiting for answers after her lumpectomy. Vernon, Danny, and Nicole anxiously await those results alongside her, creating what I think could be one of the week's most emotional family moments. But Anita and Vernon have more on their minds than just her health. Later in the week, one of their grandchildren delivers a major life update. At this point, it's impossible to know exactly what that news will be, but it sounds significant enough to shift the family's future in a meaningful way. Another storyline I'm watching closely involves Grayson. Midweek, he receives an unexpected offer, and I'm genuinely curious whether it's personal or professional. If it's a career opportunity, it could pull him away from Fairmont Crest. On the other hand, if it's tied to his personal life, it might give him an even stronger reason to stay. Either possibility could have lasting consequences. Joey's business dealings also continue to evolve. He informs Vanessa that their business arrangement is changing, and before long, Vanessa's own news leaves Joey on edge. That makes me think there could be more going on behind the scenes than either of them expected. Elsewhere, Randy struggles with a new assignment that leaves him feeling uneasy, hinting that whatever he's involved in may become much more complicated than anticipated. On Tuesday, the emotional focus remains on Anita as her loved ones wait for the results of her surgery. Eva and Isaiah receive a surprise visitor. Chelsea offers advice to her cousin. Deanna reconnects with an old friend, and Joey officially updates Vanessa about their changing business relationship. Wednesday shifts attention back to Kat and Tomas as the fallout from her impulse purchase creates tension between them. At the same time, Jacob and Naomi begin making up for lost time, while Ted and Shanice find room for romance. Leslie and Monica clash once again, and Grayson finally receives that mysterious offer. Thursday looks especially dramatic. Naomi makes an admission that leaves both Danny and Jacob stunned. Anita and Vernon receive the major update from one of their grandchildren, while Samantha shares news that has Smitty and Martin deeply worried about Tyrell. By Friday, Madison's deposition spirals from bad to worse, affecting everyone involved. Danny has a sensitive conversation with Ashley, Leslie and Darlene reach a new understanding, and Eva renegotiates the terms of her arrangement with Isaiah, suggesting she may be taking greater control of her future. The week closes with June receiving a gift that brings her to tears. I think the show is ending the week on a heartfelt, emotional note, and I'm interested to see the meaning behind that moment. Overall, I feel like this upcoming week balances emotional family drama with major relationship developments. The possibility of Tomas proposing to Kat, Anita's ongoing recovery, Grayson's unexpected opportunity, and the shifting business dynamics surrounding Joey and Vanessa all have the potential to reshape several storylines. Of course, promotional previews can sometimes be designed to mislead viewers, so I may be right or wrong about where some of these stories are headed. That's part of what makes watching the episodes so interesting. I think Monday's episode of Beyond the Gates is about to throw Kat into yet another emotional whirlwind. As if surviving a devastating tornado and helping save Eva through a liver transplant weren't enough, the July 6th episode hints that both Kat and Tomas will leave each other completely stunned. That immediately makes me wonder if Tomas is finally ready to ask the question he's been building toward for weeks: a marriage proposal. The bigger mystery, at least to me, is whether Kat is truly ready to hear it. One thing I found interesting over the past few weeks was the reaction to the revelation that Tomas planned to propose. I honestly didn't realize their relationship had reached that level, and judging by the conversations surrounding the storyline, I wasn't the only one. Some characters also seemed less than enthusiastic about the idea, almost as if they quietly hoped Tomas would reconsider before taking such a huge step. When Tomas approached Ted to ask for Kat's hand in marriage, Ted's reaction said more than his words. He didn't exactly celebrate the news. Instead, he simply told Tomas he wouldn't stand in his way, which felt more like reluctant acceptance than genuine approval. Then, when Ted shared the news with Nicole, her response wasn't much warmer. Neither parent appeared convinced that this was the right move, but Tomas seemed determined. He already has the engagement ring, and nothing has shaken his confidence so far. That's why I think Monday's episode could feature one of the most important moments in their relationship. If Tomas decides to go through with the proposal, Kat's answer could change everything. Maybe she says yes, maybe she needs more time, or maybe the timing simply isn't right after everything they've been through. Whatever happens, I have a feeling this won't be an ordinary romantic moment. It could become an awkward, emotional turning point that reshapes both of their futures. Meanwhile, Eva is beginning the long road to recovery after surviving the tornado and undergoing her life-saving liver transplant. Leslie came dangerously close to losing her daughter, so it makes sense that she would want to express her love in a meaningful way now that Eva has another chance at life. Monday's episode teases that Leslie gives Eva a touching gift, and I'm curious whether it will be something symbolic of their bond or something that helps Eva look toward the future with hope. Interestingly, Leslie has already given Eva another important gift without wrapping it. After talking with both Eva and Isaiah, she agreed not to move in during Eva's recovery. To me, that decision showed real growth, proving that sometimes supporting someone means respecting their independence instead of trying to protect them every moment. Elsewhere, Vanessa and Joey managed to survive the tornado without it tearing apart either their lives or their relationship. But that doesn't necessarily mean smooth sailing lies ahead. Deanna suddenly adopting a sweet and accepting attitude makes me wonder if there's more going on beneath the surface. Soap operas rarely make dramatic personality shifts without a reason, so I can't help thinking there may be another twist waiting around the corner. Adding even more tension, Vanessa receives news that immediately puts Joey on edge. Whether that news is connected to her career or something deeply personal, Joey's reaction suggests it could create new strain between them. At the same time, Randy is wrestling with anxiety over his latest assignment. I'm interested to see whether he can follow through, or if pressure from the situation will prove too much. Overall, I think this episode is shaping up to be less about the aftermath of the tornado itself, and more about the emotional consequences it has left behind. Relationships are being tested, major decisions are on the horizon, and several characters may find themselves facing moments that permanently alter the direction of their lives. Of course, I could be wrong, but this feels like one of those episodes where a single conversation could change everything. After a week of repeat episodes, I'm glad Beyond the Gates is finally moving the story forward. To me, the biggest emotional focus for the week of July 6th to 10th is Anita's cancer journey. Before the tornado turned everyone's lives upside down, she received encouraging news that her chemotherapy had worked well enough for her to move on to the next stage of treatment. Instead of choosing a mastectomy, Anita decided on a lumpectomy, and now everything comes down to the results. I think this is one of the most important storylines the show has right now, because it has been handled with a lot of emotional weight. Anita almost postponed her surgery because she was so concerned about everything her family had already been through after the tornado. Thankfully, Vernon reminded her that her own health had to come first, and Dr. Bauer completely supported that advice. Now, on Tuesday, Anita, Vernon, Danny, and Nicole will all be waiting together to hear the results of the surgery. I'm really hoping this is the moment where Anita finally gets some genuinely positive news after everything she has endured. She deserves a victory. The weekly spoilers suggest there will be plenty happening outside of Anita's storyline as well. Monday begins with Eva receiving a touching gift from Leslie, while Kat and Tomas manage to leave each other equally stunned. Vanessa shares news that immediately puts Joey on edge, and Randy is clearly uncomfortable with his latest assignment. Tuesday keeps the emotional momentum going. Along with Anita's medical results, Eva and Isaiah receive an unexpected visitor. Chelsea offers advice to her cousin, Deanna reconnects with an old friend, and Joey informs Vanessa that their business arrangement is changing. By Wednesday, relationship tensions begin to surface. Kat makes an impulsive purchase that doesn't sit well with Tomas, while Jacob and Naomi finally reconnect after spending time apart. Ted and Shanice also seem to find some room for romance. Meanwhile, Leslie finds herself clashing with Monica, and Grayson receives an unexpected offer that could change his direction. Thursday appears packed with major developments. Naomi makes an admission that completely shocks both Danny and Jacob. At the same time, Anita and Vernon receive an important life update from one of their grandchildren, while Samantha's news leaves Smitty and Martin deeply concerned about Tyrell. The week wraps up with even more drama. Madison's deposition spirals out of control, making things worse for everyone involved. Danny has a sensitive conversation with Ashley. Leslie and Darlene reach a new understanding. Eva renegotiates her arrangement with Isaiah, and June receives a heartfelt gift that moves her to tears. One storyline I'm especially curious about is Leslie's continued attempt to rebuild herself. I think this new version of Leslie is off to a complicated start. On one hand, she gives Eva a thoughtful gift, and later she reaches a new understanding with Darlene, something that will likely make both Eva and Isaiah happy. On the other hand, she quickly finds herself in conflict with Monica. If there's one thing we know about Monica, it's that she refuses to let anyone intimidate her or walk all over her. I have a feeling these two personalities are going to collide in a big way. I was also wondering whether Leslie is about to gain a brand new rival. Ever since Kat made the life-changing decision to donate part of her liver to Leslie's daughter, The dynamics among these families have shifted dramatically. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it feels like the writers are setting up another long-term conflict. Kat and Tomas are another couple that caught my attention this week. Their relationship has been moving toward a crossroads for quite some time. Tomas has clearly been thinking about proposing, but Kat recently admitted to Chelsea that she doesn't believe they're anywhere near ready for that level of commitment. That's why Monday's spoiler immediately stood out to me. They leave each other equally stunned, and I can't help wondering if Tomas finally asks the question he's been considering. Then again, Wednesday's spoilers mention Kat making an impulse purchase that frustrates Tomas, so maybe the surprise is something entirely different. Either way, I think this relationship is about to face one of its biggest tests. The legal storyline involving Bill, Naomi, Madison, and Mike Davis also looks ready to explode. Madison's deposition reportedly goes from bad to worse, which suggests Bill's side may not have the advantage they expected. But what interests me even more is Naomi's mysterious admission on Thursday. I may be wrong, but I really hope this is finally the moment Naomi tells Danny and Jacob that she tested positive for the brca gene. The show introduced that storyline, and I've been waiting for it to come back into focus. If that's what her admission is about, it would be an emotional and meaningful development, especially considering everything Anita is currently facing with her own battle against cancer. Overall, I think this week has the potential to balance emotional family moments with relationship drama and courtroom tension. Anita's test results remain the story I'm most invested in, but there are plenty of other developments that could have lasting consequences for several characters. If the spoilers are any indication, Beyond the Gates is returning from its break with a week full of meaningful twists and emotional moments. I think the coming week on Beyond the Gates is shaping up to be one of the most emotional and dramatic yet. There are major family moments, unexpected revelations, shifting alliances, and personal struggles that could change several storylines in a big way. The storyline I'm watching most closely is Anita's. After undergoing her lumpectomy, her loved ones, including Nicole, Danny, and Vernon, gather as they anxiously wait for her results. To me, this feels like one of those moments that will either bring relief to the family or send everyone into another emotional crisis. Later in the week, Anita and Vernon also receive important news from one of their grandchildren, so it looks like their family will continue to be at the center of several heartfelt scenes. I was also interested to see that Naomi finally decides to tell the truth. Whatever she's been keeping hidden appears significant because her confession leaves both Danny and Jacob completely shocked. At the same time, Naomi and Jacob spend time trying to rebuild their relationship. So I wonder if honesty will ultimately strengthen their bond or create even more complications between them. Eva has a busy and emotional week ahead as well. Leslie surprises her with a thoughtful gift, and the gesture genuinely touches Eva. However, that's only one part of her story. Eva and Isaiah also receive an unexpected visitor, adding another mystery to their lives. And before the week is over, Eva renegotiates her agreement with Isaiah. I think that suggests she's becoming more determined to take control of her own future, both personally and professionally. Leslie, meanwhile, seems determined to stir up more conflict. She finds herself clashing with Monica, creating another tense rivalry. Interestingly, she later reaches common ground with Darlene, which makes me wonder if Leslie is beginning to shift her priorities or simply forming new alliances where they benefit her most. Kat and Tomas don't appear to have an easy week either. An unexpected encounter catches them both by surprise, but things only become more complicated after Kat makes a purchase that Tomas doesn't approve of. Their disagreement creates fresh tension, and I can't help but wonder if this conflict is about more than just the purchase itself. Vanessa and Joey also face growing problems in their business relationship. Vanessa shares news that clearly unsettles Joey, and before long, Joey announces that their business arrangement is changing. It sounds like whatever partnership they've built could be heading toward a major turning point. Elsewhere, Randy struggles after being assigned a new responsibility, while Chelsea offers advice to her cousin during what appears to be a difficult situation. Deanna reconnects with someone from her past, opening the door to unresolved history that could become important in the weeks ahead. There are also a few lighter moments mixed into the week's drama. Ted and Shanice enjoy a romantic moment together, offering a welcome break from the tension surrounding many of the other storylines. On the other hand, Grayson is presented with an unexpected opportunity, and I'm curious to see whether he embraces it or hesitates before making a life-changing decision. Another emotional storyline involves Samantha, whose latest update leaves Smitty and Martin deeply worried about Tyrell. Depending on what this update involves, I think this could become one of the family's biggest concerns moving forward. Madison's legal troubles also intensify as her deposition becomes increasingly difficult after the situation takes an unexpected turn. At the same time, Danny has an important conversation with Ashley about a sensitive issue, suggesting another emotional and possibly life-changing discussion is on the horizon. Finally, June receives a heartfelt gift that moves her to tears. Sometimes the show's quiet, emotional moments have just as much impact as the larger dramatic twists, and I have a feeling this could be one of those scenes that really resonates with viewers. Overall, I think this week's episodes are balancing emotional family stories with surprising revelations, relationship challenges, and new opportunities. Whether it's Anita's health update, Naomi's long-awaited confession, Madison's legal battle, or the growing tension surrounding Leslie, there are plenty of storylines that could have lasting consequences. I may be right or wrong, but it certainly feels like the writers are setting the stage for several major developments that will continue well beyond this week. I think Beyond the Gates is about to come back with a much stronger week after the July 4th reruns. It feels like the show is shifting into a brand new chapter, especially for the Dupree family. With Kat and Eva finally returning home after their surgeries, relationships that once seemed impossible to repair are starting to change. To me, one of the biggest turning points is Kat saving Eva's life. That single act seems to have broken down years of resentment. I don't think Kat and Eva are suddenly going to become close sisters overnight, but I do believe the hatred between them has started to fade. Kat finally accepting Eva as Ted's daughter is a huge emotional milestone, and Leslie thanking Kat only reinforces that this family may finally be taking its first real steps toward healing. The upcoming celebration for Kat looks like it will symbolize that fresh start. The entire Dupree family gathers to welcome her home and honor her bravery. And what makes the moment even more interesting is that both Eva and Leslie are included. That alone shows how much has changed in such a short time. Of course, this is a soap opera, so I don't expect the celebration to stay peaceful for long. I was wondering if the biggest surprise of the gathering could be Tomas. Earlier, he asked Ted for permission to propose to Kat, and now it looks like he's finally ready to take that next step. The only question is whether Kat is ready. After everything she's been through physically and emotionally, she may not be prepared to make such a life-changing decision. Maybe I'm wrong, but I wouldn't be surprised if the proposal doesn't get the answer Tomas is hoping for. Meanwhile, another storyline that has caught my attention is Deanna's sudden change of heart about Joey. Until now, she strongly opposed her mother Vanessa's relationship with him. She repeatedly tried to convince Vanessa that Joey wasn't good for her. Then everything changed after Deanna experienced a vision of her late father, Doug. Doug warned her that Joey was dangerous and told her the only way to protect the family was to make Vanessa believe she supported the relationship. So Deanna did exactly that. She hugged her mother and claimed she was happy for her, as long as Vanessa was happy. I don't think Joey is buying this sudden transformation. In fact, his suspicion seems completely justified. Someone who was fiercely against him doesn't usually change overnight without a reason. That's why I think Joey may decide to have Randy keep a close eye on Deanna. If that happens, this storyline could become much more dangerous, especially if Deanna gets too close to uncovering whatever Joey is hiding. The legal battle involving Madison is also becoming more intense. Her confidence appears to be shaken after learning that Mike will be representing the opposing side. His reputation alone has Madison questioning whether Bill can actually win this case. I think this lawsuit has the potential to create serious consequences, and it may end up testing Bill's abilities more than ever before. Then there's Leslie, who seems ready to face another devastating setback. She receives disappointing news that the partnership between Garland Memorial and the clinic is coming to an end. From what I understand, this appears to be connected to Leah's involvement in the plasma ring scandal. If that's true, the fallout could affect far more people than just Leah herself. To me, Leslie's reaction will be one of the most important moments to watch. She's already been through so much, and another crushing disappointment could easily push her into making emotional decisions that create even bigger problems. Whether she tries to fight back or completely loses control remains to be seen, but I definitely think this news could mark the beginning of another major storyline. Overall, I think the upcoming week of Beyond the Gates is balancing emotional family healing with new conflict perfectly. Just as one chapter seems to be closing for the Duprees, fresh challenges are already waiting around the corner. Between Kat's homecoming, Tomas's possible proposal, Joey's growing suspicions, Madison's legal fight, and Leslie's devastating setback, I feel like the show is setting the stage for a week filled with emotional twists and dramatic surprises. I think the week ahead on Beyond the Gates is shaping up to be one of those weeks where romance, family celebrations, and devastating tragedy all collide at the worst possible time. The storyline that immediately caught my attention is Tomas and Kat. Tomas reaches a major milestone by asking Kat to marry him, which should be a joyful moment, but it doesn't seem like everything stays perfect for long. After seeing Kat's spending habits, Tomas begins questioning whether they're truly on the same page. To me, it feels like this engagement could face some serious challenges almost as soon as it begins. Elsewhere, Joey continues pulling strings behind the scenes by giving Randy another assignment, which makes me wonder what dangerous plan he's putting into motion next. At the same time, Mike Davis returns to Fairmont Crest. Danny offers Naomi some heartfelt advice, and Leslie receives shocking news while at the hospital. Every one of these stories seems ready to push the characters in unexpected directions.